And the reason for this, I think we saw it tonight, actually, and I didn't know Mr. Kinski was going to come, but I mean, what's the most important thing we have in Highbridge? It's the kids. It's the children. I mean, this is a family town. And I look at, is this, having a shop on Main Street, is that going to bring folks to buy homes in Highbridge? I heard some talk about Colorado, about property values going up, but is this going to be a draw for families and people moving into Highbridge? Is it going to keep people from buying if we're the only town in Hunterdon County, which I think is the direction they're going to go at first? But you're right, we don't know. We don't know. Is it going to be just one town, each county at first? I think that's what the governor had on his mind, to keep it controlled at first. You know, so I know there's some towns possibly, you know, like a Lambertville that might really, you know, benefit from New Hope walking across. They might want it more than the rest of the towns. Would people sell their home if their kids were no longer allowed to walk after school down to get a slice of pizza or a smoothie or an egg roll like what we do now? When I first moved to Highbridge, I think there were 7 or 8 empty stores. There were 3 condemned buildings, and there were arrests every Friday and Saturday nights on Highbridge. It was pretty tough. And guess what? We have 100% occupancy on. We are the best Main Street in Hunterdon County. Most towns in New Jersey about 40%, right? 40% empty. I look at some towns that got 20, 30 empty storefronts. And I don't have to. You see it. So we've done a great job. HBBA has done an amazing job. EDC. Volunteer spirit, the hundreds of volunteers that we have in Highbridge. There's residents on Highbridge that finally, like, they wouldn't allow their kids to walk on Main Street, but now they allow their grandkids to do, you know, what our kids do and walk down after school. So very family-centered town. And it's not about legalization. Governor Murphy said 100 days, he's going to, great, that's what's going to happen. But do we want that in Highbridge? Do we want to be the first? I heard some folks talking about, do you want to be that pilot? Do you want to be the first, or do you want to say, let's see how this settles out? Do you want to protect the town? Now, like some other towns have already done in New Jersey, they're like, let's get out in front of this, because you're not going to be able to, maybe once, you know, corporates and legal have someone that wants to open a shop on your Main Street. So protecting the town, this is the thing to do if you're going to protect the town. We had the Highbridge School Board come as a parent, but they were like, oh, absolutely, got to change protocol. You're 2 blocks from the school. 2 blocks from the school, it's going to be a block from 3 parks. I spoke with the Voorhees High School principal, and he said this is going to create challenges. So the towns that use Voorhees High School, maybe there could be some sort of coalition to keep that away from the high school and not make things more difficult than they already are. Because I've been to those orientations, I've been to those meetings, and there's a lot of talk of THC and marijuana in the high schools. Anyone else want to talk before we open it back up?
I agree with what the mayor said, and everybody. I think there's a lot of excellent comments out here, particularly the you know, the go slow comments, and I think that's kind of where this came from, and it is going slow. I think the faster route is to kind of see what happens, and there's no reason to be the first ones out here. As easily as this ordinance gets put on, it can be taken back.
Why do you laugh?
It took me 6 months to get an ordinance changed.
Which ordinance?
It's history.
You did. You talked to the right person, though.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, I
Because
got it.
that was me.
It's a double from a small number to another small number. So I'm not terribly concerned about that, quite frankly. I'm not afraid of it. I thought it would be a nothing when it happened in Colorado. It wasn't going to destroy their state, and it wasn't going to make their state amazing, and that's basically what has happened. There's been some positive, there's been some negative, whatever.
And why do we need an ordinance?
But if you have a zoning ordinance, you pass it ahead of time for everybody, okay? Because you cannot respond to individual people. And if, you're right, somebody's not going to build something in a day. However, if the law is changed or passed, however you want to put it, if something comes into effect and someone makes an application for something, which only does take a day, we now cannot pass a law that prevents that use. That's called spot zoning. So someone says, hey, I want to do this. It's allowed right now. You haven't passed anything yet. We can't then say, oh, you know what? we were thinking about this, oh, we don't, too late.
Next council meeting.
Too late. We cannot do it. Quite frankly, once again, it's called spot zoning. It's illegal. We're reacting because we don't want that business, and that's not appropriate. We can, however, zone an entire area a certain way, and then at a later date rezone or change. We can do that. You can't do it in a response to a request to put in a business. We can't look at each business that comes in and say, we don't want that, we don't want that, we do want that. We're not allowed to. And so when we have no idea what the format will be, how it will work, whether it'll be 1 per county, 2 per county, 100 per county, we have no idea. Most likely it'll be 1 per county, something like that. Probably a town at the end of a train line or something. But we have no idea. And so, as I said, it makes no sense to, well, first of all, we thought about this a year ago. Hey, let's look into this and find out what the likelihood of it is and what would the things be. You know, once again, I don't really care what people do. I'm not really worried. I don't think it's going to cause kids, I don't think it's going to. I really don't. I'm not worried about that. But I'd rather be cautious, be ahead of the game, give ourselves control over what goes on, our town control over what goes on, and then we can change things as we go. And yes, there are ordinances that are not perfectly enforced, and sometimes it's because it is difficult to enforce things on private individuals. Look at 100 West Main, where we had to chase people down in jail and such for years to get people to do what they're supposed to do. But having trouble enforcing an ordinance isn't the same as not having one. And so yeah, that's an issue. Things need to be enforced, but that doesn't mean we should just get rid of those ordinances. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't make ordinances as you move along. Yes, you should enforce the ones you got, though. You're right.
And kind of the reason why I think ultimately why we like this town and chose this town was because we wanted to be part of something that was like moving forward and kind of being a pilot program in a pilot town. And I don't, I kind of question why we're so nervous about being the town that sets the example and shows other towns how to do it. I don't know what Clinton's doing or Tewksbury. I mean, I know Tewksbury doesn't really have a main street. Clinton has a main street, but I don't, they seem uppity and stiff, and that's why we would never want to live there, because I wouldn't want to live in a town like that. I want to live in a town like this, where I feel like, these ideas, not only are they kind of thought out and accepted, but, maybe acted on. So I don't know what the other towns are doing, so that was my big question. But I encourage you to be a pilot town and not see what other towns are doing. And I grew up in Washington, down 31, and it's a town that I feel like, waited too long to do things, said no to M&Rs, said no to a lot of programs and a lot of companies in the town, and the town sucks. It does. It's a terrible town. That's why I want to get out of there. Not that I got too much further down, but I would never want to go back there because it's just a closed-minded town. And I don't want this to be that. So, thank you.
Thank you.